My name is Gemma's Journey Grace. I walk this world at my own pace. I see the colors others miss. I've got a heart you can't dismiss. Some days are loud, some days are bright, but every step I take is mine. I shine my truth in every space. This is Gemma's Journey Grace. I live with autism, and that's my power. I rise up stronger every hour. Don't need your perfect, don't need your doubt. I know who I am, and I'm standing proud. I'm finding my rhythm, my voice, my place. This is Gemma's journey, this is my grace. You might not see what's in my mind, but there's a world of stars behind. I feel the music in the air, I feel the love that's always there. My story's written in my way, no rules to how I shine today. I'm on a path I'm meant to chase. Call me Gemma's Journey Grace. I live with autism, and that's my power. I rise up stronger every hour. Don't need your perfect, don't need your doubt. I know who I am, and I'm standing proud. I'm finding my rhythm, my voice, my place. This is Gemma's journey, this is my grace. Every challenge, every fight, I keep on moving toward the light. My heart is steady, my dream is clear. I'm not alone, I'm still right here. I live with autism, and that's my power. I grow more fearless every hour. I'm writing my story line by line. This journey's tough, but it's all mine. I'm finding my rhythm, my voice, my place. I'm Gemma's Journey. I am great.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel for Wednesday the 1st of April 2026, and happy World Autism Acceptance Month starts today. And so I have found an article on Sky News which the headline reads, youngsters incentivized to get ADHD and autism diagnoses. A review finds behaviours once regarded as normal are now being interpreted as requiring some form of intervention or treatment. So as an autistic woman, I want to talk through this article and read it for you, and then give my autistic thoughts towards the end of the article. I think as an autistic person, I'm quite interested in what it has to say. So it says, young people and children are being incentivized to get diagnosed with autism and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, known as ADHD, experts have said. In the findings of a government-commissioned review, they suggested diagnosis is increasingly being used to secure support, even if other responses may have been more appropriate. Well, I'll just stop there for a second. The reason why in school and the education system more parents are pushing for diagnoses for their young people and children is because they are self-identifying themselves in the traits, in the behaviours, and in the special interests of ADHD and autism. Therefore, autism and ADHD, of course, is going to be going up. The self-identification, the self-assessment, the assessments through the school education system, through the healthcare system, currently is delayed because there is years and years of waiting lists. And of course, it's going to be going up because of the children and parents finding something that fits them. There has been a rise in demand for both autism and ADHD services, with the UK recording the sharpest increase in ADHD drug use across Europe. But the review, which was launched back in December, warned that the diagnosis do not necessarily mean greater prevalence of either condition, and said that many behaviours interpreted as requiring treatment were once regarded as normal. Estimates of how many ADHD or autism are relatively for now stable, but diagnosis, self-identification and service demand have increased substantially. Well, yes, they're going to increase substantially because, again, they are self-identifying as autistic or ADHD or both, or ADHD. They are picking things that suit them, that fit them. They're picking things that they are, finding out, like high sensitivity to noise and crowd, and hypersensitivity or hyposensitivity to food and tastes and smells and people, and so they're going to be having an increase. Of course they are, because they're getting better at training of ADHD and autism. They are getting better at picking things up of this nature because there is more medical staff working in that field. Its authors warned of a risk that a wide range of difficulties, particularly those arising from social, educational, or environmental pressures, may increasingly be interpreted primarily through a medical lens. Well, of course, ADHD and autism have to be identified through a medical lens. That's how you get assessed. That's how you come to a conclusion, a medical conclusion. I'm not a medical expert. I'm just somebody that is trained in autism as an autistic lady. I've done a lot of research over the nearly 14 years that I've been diagnosed now, but of course it's going to be through a medical lens, because that's how you get help and support and therapies and counselling, and because you have to go through a medical situation, you have to speak to social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists. Of course it's going to be a medical lens, because that's how you get the help and treatment that you need to get that diagnosis label to get you support. While there is credible evidence of increasing psychological distress, especially amongst younger people, there are several factors that are likely at play. These include institutional incentives and pressure within existing service pathways, changing help-seeking behaviour, and improved recognition of symptoms. Well, again, this is down to people not having enough people working within the field of autism and ADHD. This is down to money and local government funding, again, because it's saying that there is pressures in the service pathway. Well, yes, because there's not enough staff, there's not enough training, there's not enough trainees working within the field of autism or ADHD. Therefore, there is going to be institutional incentives or pressure. There is going to be not enough recognition of symptoms or even conditions, because there isn't anyone there to help them. So of course it's going to be the case. In autism, the evidence also points to particularly rapid growth in identified need within the educational system, including increasing identification among girls and young people without learning disabilities. So again, this is a case of autism is being wrongly linked to learning disability. It's being linked as a learning issue rather than a neurodevelopmental condition issue. It's being put amongst the situation where, autism just means you're a bit slow, or, it just means that you're going to struggle with learning. And no, the educational system is not built for us autistic people. The educational system, again, is a failed to autistic people, because the teachers do not get enough training or are not taught how to care for students who are all ADHD, autistic or neurodiverse or otherwise, because they're not paid enough to do that. It shouldn't be their job. They should have to have helpers there. They should have people who are trained within the autism and ADHD pathway to help their students to be the best that they can be. And I think the problem is it's down again to government and down to money. And again, it shouldn't be down to teachers to do what they have to do with students in the classroom. It's just not enough time and there's not enough space for it. Professor Peter Fonagy, a clinical psychologist at the University of College London and chair of this review, said the support system must be more proportionate, more responsive and less dependent on diagnosis alone. That does not mean abandoning diagnosis, he added, writing in the Times newspaper. For many people, it remains essential for understanding, for treatment, and for access to right support. Again, I've said this earlier, we do not need to abandon diagnosis. Abandoning the diagnosis altogether is absolute stupid idea. Abandoning the diagnosis is going to cause more physical and mental and emotional distress than it would going through the assessment. I think also it's going to cause more stress. We need to have it as an essential pathway, an essential service. And for many people, like it said here, it's for understanding either treatment or access to support. For someone like myself who was late diagnosed, it's so confusing what to go through, how to say, like how to explain how you feel, the emotional responses, the mental responses, the physical responses of how to explain things. And it's very, very, very hard. We need to make the pathway more accessible and more easy for people, because the more easier it is for people, the more people are going to understand what it's like to be going through the assessment, whether you're going for ADHD, autism, or you're going for ADHD assessment, whether it's both of them. So again, it's a failure in the system. Again, it needs to be updated, and there needs to be more people trained within the autism and ADHD pathways in general, because then we'll have more assessment and treatment services. At the moment we don't, because there's not enough staff working in the field. It's not because they're not trained or they don't want to work in that area, it's because there's not enough money to go around. So again, it's a NHS and also it's a government thing. We need more government backing for autism and ADHD services, period. It's just the way it is. Charity warns of polarised debate. The findings of this review were welcomed by the Mental Health Foundation, which said psychological distress and suffering has been on the increase, and backed calls for a bold prevention-first approach. Well, I kind of agree with them, but at the same time, psychological distress and suffering has been happening for a long time for people with suspected ADHD, suspected autism. Again, it comes down to lack of research, lack of understanding, lack of acceptance, lack of recognition, a lack of belief. It comes down to people who have been like, because you think that, you might not be, no, you're just a bit odd, you're a bit quirky, you're a bit slow, but it doesn't matter, you'll grow out of it. No. We need to be accepted, we need to be understood, we need to be recognised, we need to be supported, because at the moment we're not. And that again is down to the government. That again is down to not enough funding for staff to work within autism and ADHD services. Again, it's down to a lack of respect towards people who are autism or ADHD. The National Autistic Society, however, warned the review risked fueling an increasingly polarised debate, with too much attention placed on questioning people's motivation for truly seeking a diagnosis. Again, I totally agree with them, because, again, when you are going through that situation of seeking a diagnosis, and you're going through a situation going, well, I'm really struggling mentally, I don't know what to do, my emotions are off the chart, I feel really depressed, I feel really anxious, I have no focus, I have no attention, people jump the gun. Sometimes they go, oh well, I'm gonna be ADHD, I'm gonna be autistic. That's as simple as that. But again, you should never discount the diagnosis or the label or the self-identification, because you're not the right person to do that. Again, we have to be very, very careful when it comes to recognising and accepting people's identification, whether it's self-identified or medically identified, or whether it's research findings, or whether they're watching social media videos. Again, it's okay to self-identify, it's okay to seek a diagnosis, or if you think you need to go down that area of expertise, it's okay to be researching things like autism, ADHD, because it's something that's going to help you. It's something that's going to help you mentally, physically, emotionally, and so be it. I think you should do that. But again, some people do jump on the bandwagon to get a label. They get it because it's trendy, or they think they should get the autism ADHD label because it will help them. And sometimes some people aren't truly there for good intentions. A Department of Health and Social Care spokesperson said it launched a review precisely because we know too many people are not getting the support they currently need. We are committed to building a system that is fair and works for everyone, with a focus on early intervention, they added, with the final report's recommendations still to come. And that's the end of the article. So I've read you all the article. I will link it in the video description down below. But again, I think we have to be very, very careful about over-talking people's diagnosis or their search for a diagnosis, their search for questions, their search for answers, because a lot of people spend years and years and years and years seeking help and getting nowhere because they're not believed, they're not supported, they're not inspired, they're not told, oh, go for it, we'll be here for you, we'll support you, we'll back you. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, what's wrong with me, why can't I do this, why can't I do that? it's a very, very, very tough decision to go through the medical process of a diagnosis, or even beginning that journey can be very, very overstimulating, very, very anxiety provoking. I think we need to be very, very careful when it comes to doing it just because it's social media trend, or people are thinking they need a label or a diagnosis when sometimes we actually don't. But again, most of us who are searching for the truth, searching for answers, we do need that label, because again, it gives us access to help and support and the right therapies, things like counselling or talking therapies, or access to other services that may help with mental health services, whether that's for depression, anxiety, or other mental health issues that they may be going through. And I think we need to be so careful when it comes to this kind of topic of diagnosis, and people are using it to potentially abuse the system. I get that some people are abusing the system. I'm not doubting that. Some people are using the system for money and going, oh, well, my child does this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Oh, my child does this and this, and they have a temper tantrum, and they throw themselves on the floor, and they can't cope with being at school. They scream and shout and cuss, and some people are abusing the system because it's too easy to abuse the system. Sadly, here in the UK, it is getting misplayed for a lot of people who don't actually have a medical diagnosis of such things. But again, for the most part, I think we should encourage self-diagnosis. I think we should encourage the debate. I think we should encourage criticism and peaceful comments and peaceful debates about it. I think we should be talking about things like this more in the mainstream media, and I'm glad that Sky News has done this article, and hopefully you've enjoyed my thoughts and feelings on it. And please like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!